Kathleen, look at this prompt.
Meeting is being live streamed by staying in this meeting. Yep, you should just say got it. I'm just gonna put your phone on. See, and you'll move around a little. You're okay though. I don't hear him. I'm here. Did you get Donna? Yeah, he's on YouTube. Okay. We don't have Dan on here though. Check if you want to switch to a different microphone or speaker. Because we don't have.
Well, hello, everyone. My name is Dan Truckee. I'm director of the Beaumere Upper Peninsula Heritage Center, and I want to welcome you to this wonderful live event that we have with the wonderful Jeannie Thoren. We'll be starting with just. Okay, you'll need to, whoever's got their computer on. You,
Is it me?
No, I'm not sure what's going on
Am I
right now.
supposed to mute?
so those of you who are joining us by Facebook, we please mute because we will get some feedback, audio feedback. Also turn off your screen because we only want to see Jeannie when she's talking. Somebody has, Jeannie, do you have me on YouTube right next to you?
It's
Tom's on YouTube. Tom is on YouTube. Does he
Is
need?
it in the same room?
No, it's in the next room, but.
Okay, I'm getting my talk back.
From my house.
It could be.
Okay, just a second. Okay, there we go. I got it now. It was me.
It was you.
I had it going in another window. I thought it was somebody else.
My tech support did that?
No.
Oh,
Yeah.
no, it was him.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Well, we're going to get started. My name is Dan Truckee. I'm director of the Beaumere Upper Peninsula Heritage Center here at Northern Michigan University. We are streaming this live on YouTube, and because of that, you are able to type in questions into the comments section. So at the end of Jeannie's talk, we will do a question and answer. And those of you who are on Facebook, who are watching it on Facebook, at the end, if you'd like to ask a question, you could turn off your mic or turn on your mic and ask a question as well. But I will go through the questions on YouTube. I don't want to say too much because the whole idea of this is for you to hear Jeannie's story and to hear it from her, not from me, because no one can tell Jeannie's story like she can tell it. Because she's the only one who knows everything, and there's a lot to know about Jeannie Thoren and her life and her career. And I'm just so honored that we could have her here tonight, and that she agreed to do this, because it's just a wonderful thing, and it's a great story. It is Women's History Month, of course, and here at the university, we are celebrating women's accomplishments and achievements in history and in our world today. And I couldn't think of anyone better to invite, a Northern grad to invite to be a part of this than Jeannie Thoren. She graduated from Bishop Baraga High School in 1964 here in Marquette. She'll tell you all about that, including showing you her cheerleading pictures. She's got some of those. And also, she then graduated from Northern in 1968. And then went on to the rest of this amazing story. So we hope that you will enjoy the story she's about to tell. I do want to ask Jolene if you would turn your camera off. That would be appreciated because you're showing up on the stream right now, and we'd like to just have Jeannie on the stream. So please turn your video off on your camera, Jolene. Just go down to stop video in the corner. There you go. Oh, no, now it's something else. You have to go on to Zoom. There you go. You got it. Fantastic. We're all learning, still learning how to use this new technology. So, I want to introduce you all to the wonderful Jeannie Thoren. And Jeannie, do you have anything you'd like to say before I bring up the first slide?
No, weren't you gonna show the video?
The video, yes. So that was one of the reasons that was the reason I had YouTube open, was that I could show video. So let me get that up.
I'm glad you know what you're doing.
Oh, just a second. I have to do something here on Facebook or on Zoom. I have to hit a little button here. I forgot all about that.
I hope you didn't forget about the one at the end too.
I've got that one. I've got it all queued up. I'm not sure. I want to make sure people can hear the audio on YouTube of the video. And I'm pretty sure that they can. Okay, we're just going to go with it.
All right. Hit it. Why can't I hear the video?
I don't know. It's because I'm not sure. Let me see if Tom hears it. Tom doesn't have it. He doesn't. So you can just go and just chime in and just say, Dan, we can't hear it.
Dan, we can't hear it.
That's what I was afraid of.
That's okay.
I don't know. I can't find the button. Here it is. I found it.
All resulted in a greater awareness for women-centric ski gear. She's improved the sport for all women and raised the bar for the snow sport industry. She's been recognized by both ski and skiing magazines as one of the most influential people in the sport. At one time, she was ranked as one of the top 100 ski instructors in America. Let us now welcome Jeannie Thoren into the U.S. Ski and Snowboard Hall of Fame and present her with the Medal of Honor.
Sorry about that, folks. That's all yours, Jeannie.
Okay. So how did a kid from the UP get inducted into the National Ski Hall of Fame? I believe that a picture is worth 1,000 words. The following photos are a glimpse into my past. It all started with my family. Enjoy the ride. My maternal grandmother, Ida Cruz, was born in 1882 in West Ishpeming and grew up in Nagani. She entered the brand new Northern Normal in 1899, graduating with the first class of 1901. She became a school teacher. She spent much of her career as principal of the grade school in the Keweenaw community of Almeek, when few women were in positions of leadership. She was the oldest living graduate at NMU's Diamond Jubilee in 1975. In 1980, my grandmother was the last surviving member of NMU's first graduating class of 1901. Shown with her are my mother, a junior, sister Ellen, a 58 graduate, and her daughter who received her degree in medical technology. My maternal grandfather, Guy Nault, was a supervisor at the Blueberry Mine in Nagani. He loved to hunt deer and had a hunting cabin outside of Gwyn. He also loved to fish. He had the Viking of Marquette built at Bingham Boat Works on the Big Bay Highway. They had 3 children, my mother, Uncle Guy, who was a fireman in Crystal Falls his whole life, and Uncle Bob, who was in the upper management at Post Cereals. I've kept her hat all these years in the trunk that came over from Sweden with my great grandmother. She dressed beautifully. She had style. My paternal grandfather, Theodore Thorin, married Ellen Erickson on December 28, 1904. Where did she find gorgeous roses like that in Nagani 3 days after Christmas? He was the judge in Nagani. He loved sports and was the Nagani baseball team manager in 1910. Grandma Thorin was a sweet and gentle housewife. She loved to play the piano and her zither. We had Grandma Thorin's 70th birthday party at the Old Island Pavilion. Then as now, a pasty party at the island was the place to be. My father, Raleigh, the educator, is on the far left. Then Uncle Rudy, who went from chief test pilot to the director of engineering for Lockheed. Oldest brother, Ted, was a pioneer in aeronautical engineering from Borg Warner. His career took him from biplanes to rocket ships. My Aunt Mill was a master seamstress. Rudy and my dad testing a plane they built in Nagani. They would tow the plane behind their car, driving across the ice on Teal Lake to get liftoff. My dad, Rudy, and friend with another of their home-built planes. They were far ahead of their time in the field of aviation. They contributed significantly to aviation and were rewarded for their efforts. My father, Roland Thorin, was born in 1910 in Nagani. He played 3 years of football and basketball. Here's my father's high school graduation photos. He was a very handsome and engaging man. He was president of his class at Nagani High School for all 4 years there and was a member of the National Honor Society and graduated in 1928. My fathers and his brothers were driving cars from the beginning, while others were thinking cars were a passing fad. In September of 1929, my father enrolled at Northern State Teachers College. He participated in basketball and was captain in his senior year. He was designated as the State College Fellow from Northern to the University of Michigan in 1933-34, receiving his MA in June of that year. Raleigh spent all 41 of his working years at NMU, beginning as a critic teacher in the former John D. Pierce School for 25 years. He spent 16 years in the biology department of NMU in the field of zoology. My father used the world to teach science. He was on field trips to Presque Isle, Lake Superior, local mines, and ore docks expanded his classroom. My family basically grew up on one big field trip. In other words, we experienced a world bigger and beyond our front door. In all types of weather, all across the UP, my father taught extension courses for Northern. Many of his students were women getting back into teaching after raising their children. He kept score at all NMU home basketball games. He was the official photographer for Northern. He was a charter member of the Coast Guard Auxiliator. He operated the Viking in the sport trolling business. In 1947, he organized the first Christmas bird count in the UP. He co-authored a lab manual for zoology courses. He was a jack of many trades. In 1974, he received the NMU Distinguished Alumni Award. He was loved across the UP. My mother, Betty Lou, was born in 1917 and graduated from Negaunee High School. She spent most of her time in Marquette. She was a member of the Marquette Duplicate Bridge Club, where she served as director for 30 years. She won many trophies. Here's me holding the Brill Cup with other family members holding some of my mother's trophies. She also ran the voting precincts operation. She would be heartbroken with today's voting situation. She loved to cook and made the best pasties in the UP. My mother was equally at home as the head house mother of Camp Loggins in Land O'Lakes, Wisconsin, or at her baby grand piano. She was an early Renaissance woman. In what little free time she had with 9 kids, she enjoyed reading and playing the piano. For many years, my mom and dad operated Thorin's portrait studio out of their home on Presque Isle Avenue. My father did all the photographs and my mother did all the hand tinting. My parents met in Grandma Thorin's garage. Raleigh and the boys had a wood stove going full blast and were throwing gasoline in to blow the lids off. The game was to catch the most lids that blew off. It was the Ides of March and it was love at first sight. But my father was her teacher and a few years older. My grandmother shipped my mother off to Duluth to attend St. Scholastica. She lasted a year. They eloped in the sacristy of St. Peter's Cathedral and settled in Marquette on Presque Isle Avenue. This is what Marquette Harbor looked like when I was growing up. The long string of coal piles on the right is now where Matson Park sits. At the time, the Viking was one of 8 boats in Cinder Pond. The waterfront building where I took dancing lessons is now the Iron Bay Restaurant. You can see the coal dock was there with the trestle and the railroad line. Phil's Fishery was about the only business on the pier. No pleasure boats tied up. It was a working waterfront. I was born in 1946. I come from a family of 9 children. I was number 5, right in the middle of the pack. As a child growing up in a family of 9 children, chores were distributed by ability, not sex. Whoever was closest to the shovel or the rake did the job. We all did all the jobs regardless of gender. We were members of St. Michael's Church where I was baptized. We were a happy family and I was a happy, happy kid. We were taught to be curious, ask questions, take risks, and be brave. You can see where I got my name, Bucktooth Annie. My father loved capturing action on camera and had us jumping over boards in the backyard. He would have me jump over and over. I loved it. Best of all, I loved winter and played outdoors in the snow. I would stay outside until dinner, so I didn't learn to cook. I did all the dishwashing afterwards. That's a lot when you consider there's 12 people in the household. We got lots of snow and would carve huge tunnels, mounds of snow and carve tunnels through them. I spent a lot of time at the Palestra ice skating rink. It was many years before girls played hockey, so I figure skated instead. It was replaced many years ago and turned into a northern parking lot. The cast says 1-2-51. I was 5 years old. My family went tobogganing on a steep hill in South Marquette. I went down first on my little sled and was walking back up the hill when my siblings took off down the hill. They screamed and yelled at me to get out of the way, but I was frozen in my tracks. They ran me over and broke my leg. I still remember that Yooper today. Don't you love the early Yooper layering of my clothes? I attended St. Michael's School across the street from Northern. I came from a very religious background and I started singing in the choir at the early age. My mother sewed my beautiful little dress. She taught me how to sew, knit, crochet, and needlepoint. I attended Catholic school, kindergarten through high school graduation. This is my confirmation photo. All the while growing up, I was taught to be kind and help others. I love to dance. I took lessons every Saturday for 10 years at the waterfront from Mrs. Gustafson. She always commented that I had strong legs like a little pony. My father photographed all the other dancers to pay for my lessons. Here I am as Little Red Riding Hood and me as a bluebird. The terrazzo tiles of the floor at the waterfront were great for tap dancing, super loud. I also took ballet, toe, and jazz. It was during the 10 years of dancing lessons that I figured out the importance of symmetry and motion. You must be able to turn to the right as equally as turning to the left. Otherwise, you're out of balance, your timing is off. The exact same thing is true in skiing. I love toe dancing. I'm practicing at home on the front porch with socks protecting my pink toe shoes so they wouldn't get dirty. By the time I was in high school, I was a student teacher. Mrs. Swinton, my piano teacher, was very strict, but an excellent teacher. I loved to play and took lessons for over 15 years. Again, my father paid for my lessons by exchanging photography work. No one worked harder than my parents. By the 8th grade, I played for my classmates as they sang at a music festival held in St. Peter's Cathedral. I was a member of the Bishop Biographical Chorus, madrigals, and choir. I was in music class when we first heard of JFK's assassination. That's me in the wild diamond pattern sweater. Starting in 7th grade, I played the pipe organ and sang 7 and 8 o'clock Mass in Latin in the cavernous St. Peter's Cathedral every weekday morning before school. I made $1.50 per Mass. It was a small fortune at that age. When I was a junior, I won the Marquette Federated Women's Club piano scholarship to the National Music Camp at Interlochen, Michigan. The photo is of my practice room. I was lucky enough to be there when Van Cliburn was playing Rachmaninoff Symphony No. 2 in C minor. I got up early in the morning before classes to hear him practice in the amphitheater out in the woods. To this day, it remains one of my favorite pieces of music. I was Marquette's first paper girl and gas station attendant. I spent summers in the water. I spent all day at Picnic Rocks and at Shire's Pool, playing on the diving boards, rafts, and the slide. I took synchronized swimming and instantly took to it. The bandana around my waist was the costume for the ballet that summer. Here's my sweatshirt that lives with my grandmother's hats in my trunk. I ended up a lifeguard at Shire's Pool. I was the first female to be a swing guard in Marquette. That means lifeguarding at all the dangerous swimming holes in town. The city objected to a female at Picnic Rocks because you had to know how to row a boat. I grew up rowing a boat. At the quarry, there was an objection was it was too deep. I answered that a good lifeguard sees a person struggling before they go down the depths. The tourist park was too isolated, etc. I got the job. When I attended Northern, I took water safety courses and ended up being a lifeguard and teaching swimming in the pool in the field house. I also took scuba diving lessons and got PADI certified. Classes were held in the pool at the field house. I did my open dive at Black Rocks in a 1/4-inch wetsuit. I tried out for and was accepted in the International Water Follies after being discovered lifeguarding at Shire's Pool. Tryouts were in the Ramada Inn pool. I ran away and joined the circus. I learned 4 swimming and ballet numbers in just 4 days. We went on to tour Canada, New Jersey, and Long Island. The Follies were presented in a gigantic portable pools and a stage set up in the Hedgecock Fieldhouse. I danced to Wunderbar on the stage in a pink skirt with sequins, sporting a 6-foot-tall pink boa fan. I was a Girl Scout all through grade and high school. It was great fun learning about and achieving all those badges. I went from a brownie at school to a Mariner Scout in the downtown harbor. Every summer I would go to summer camp at Camp Loggins in Land O'Lakes, Wisconsin. My mother was house mother, so all of us kids got to go to camp. It was an old CCC camp. There were a lot of mosquitoes. In my Bermuda shorts in front of the bunkhouses, we would swim across the lake for fun. I also learned how to row a boat and paddle a canoe. I was awarded a certificate in swimming. I was always in the water. We also had a riflery range, archery lessons, and arts and crafts. There was horseback riding too. Back at school, I was a member of the Future Scientists of America all through high school. I was a member of the Michigan Junior Arts of Science, Arts, and Letters all through high school. I was a member of the Junior Classical League and took Latin all through high school. Here's me at my first toga party during Latin week. A friend had invited me to the junior prom, but he got cold feet. So good friend Dwight Johnson, knowing that I had already gotten a dress, volunteered to take me. Dwight is known and loved in Marquette ski racing circles as DJ. I loved playing basketball. Unfortunately, in phys ed, we had to wear bloomers. Girls were only allowed to play to middle court and throw the ball over to the other side. They didn't think girls had the stamina to play full court. I wasn't going to do that. So I became a cheerleader so I could get more exercise. I was a cheerleader all 4 years of high school and ultimately the captain my junior and senior years. Here's my certificate I got for cheerleading at the annual school banquet. Here's my cheerleading sweater stored in the same trunk as my grandmother's hats. At a class reunion years later, a classmate commented that they thought I was the class spirit. I started skiing at Mount Menard at around 9 years old. I spent every minute I could skiing on the rope toe, then warming up in the shack with the potbelly stove, drying out my mittens. Cliffs Ridge was just starting at the time. It had a T-bar. It was steeper. I just had to ski there. I bought my first pass with my church money. Playing the piano and dancing came to a screeching halt once I started skiing. Skiing was dancing down the slopes going fast. I was hooked. I started racing. Seppi Hodelmoser was ski school director. I didn't have the money for racing lessons like the other kids, so he let me shadow in the back row. He would also find me during his lunch hour to take a few runs with me. Original investors in Cliffs Ridge, Misters, Brebner, Bothwell, Cohodes, Fletcher, Glass, Hornbogue, and others would buy me hamburgers because they knew I didn't have enough money to eat lunch. I won my first gold medal in Wausau, Wisconsin. On the way home, we stopped at a bar with a TV and saw the Beatles for the first time on Ed Sullivan. My family didn't have a TV until I was a sophomore in high school. I qualified for the 64 Junior Nationals at Nub's Knob. I was thrilled to win third place, but to check out the medal, it had a guy on it. Roy Fletcher of Marquette Chamber of Commerce gave checks of $100 to his daughter, Susan, and me to represent Marquette at the Junior National Championships in Squaw Valley. I couldn't believe it. It was a dream come true to make the Central Division team. Here's our 1964 Junior National Women's team at Squaw, overlooking Lake Tahoe. I had never skied in a place where my nose hairs weren't stuck together. I also burnt my eyeballs because I didn't have sunglasses on. You didn't need them in Marquette. After this trip, I had to go home and finish high school. I thought I would die. This trip changed my life. Here I am in the giant slalom in the softest snow I had ever skied in. Everyone but me thinks that this is a great photo. All I can see is how knock-kneed my stance is. That is incorrect skiing. It would take me many years to solve this problem through equipment changes and bucking the status quo. I graduated from Bishop Baraga High School in 1964. I guess at times I must have had some sort of an attitude kicking in. My father was always in the parade for Northern's graduations, so he was in a cap and gown for my graduation too. This is taken in our front yard on Ridge Street. I had received an academic scholarship from Bishop Baraga and was living at home, so it made college affordable. I attended Northern from 1964 to 68. Most of my classes were held in K Hall, where the Cohodes building now sits. The Hedgecock Fieldhouse was on the other edge of the campus, along with the new science building, where my father had an office. I spent hours between classes hanging out in his lab. Northern was a much smaller world then. I attended NMU from 64 to 68 and received my Bachelor of Science degree in biology and chemistry. I wanted to be a gynecologist, but my advisor told me that women would never go to a female doctor and that I'd probably get married and have kids. What kind of life would that be? Whatever. I took pre-med courses all 4 years. I absolutely credit my science education at Northern for teaching me how to logically tackle experimenting with my ski equipment. If something wasn't working, why wasn't it? And how could I solve the problem? In 1964-65, I won the Women's Brule Cup at Brule Mountain in Iron River, Michigan. Seppi had special soles made for him that had a thicker sole on one of them because he had a short leg from a horrible downhill crash in Austria. From 1965 to 68, I was a ski instructor at Cliffs Ridge for Seppi. I also got certified in the GLM method by Cliff Taylor himself. I also worked for Ani at the Tirollerhof as a waitress. When I was finished serving, I would play dinner music and sing. I loved everything about the Tirollerhof with its Austrian decor and its chapel. Ani had a gift shop where Edelweiss pins, ribbons, hats, and Austrian fabrics. I started thinking about skiing in Europe. Northern didn't have a women's alpine ski team, so I skied with the men's alpine team. I was also a member of the Tempo Ski Club. I was also on the student council and was involved in many other activities around campus. I graduated in spring of '68 and headed out by myself to Switzerland in November. I said goodbye to my father before his 8 o'clock class, then headed to my mother's precinct to vote and say goodbye to her. My parents always encouraged me to explore. If I failed and had to go home, that was okay because I tried. I didn't leave Marquette because I didn't love it. I just needed steeper hills. So armed with an incredible education, athletic training, church, family, and so on, I headed out into the world. Little did I know what I was getting myself into. I left Marquette with $300 and got to Switzerland by plane and train and ended up in the Alps. I couldn't believe my eyes. I had found heaven on earth. I ended up in Pontresina, Switzerland, about 20 miles from St. Moritz. I got a job as a dishwasher at the Hotel Walter Palace. Even then, Americans had a reputation for being lazy, but I got the job because I had a college degree. Good thing, I had $30 left. I started out emptying ashtrays and doing the dishes. As my German got better, I graduated to waitressing. In 2 years, I ended up being head barmaid. I thought everybody in Switzerland would ski better than me because they were Swiss, but I was wrong. I started racing every weekend. I bought this blue racing suit and was given the yellow skis in exchange for being the model for the ski poster. I ended up being the Engadine Valley Hotel Workers Women's Champion. This was a big deal. I took up cross-country skiing. I ended up skiing the 55-kilometer Engadiner Ski Marathon, which is just like the American Birkebeiner, and finished in under 4 hours. It was an incredible feat. When my boss saw me, he gave me the night off to sleep. A friend invited me on a short trip to Italy, and I got to watch Neil Armstrong land on the moon at the American Embassy in Rome. I took up mountain climbing and saw my first Edelweiss flowers growing on the slopes. It reminded me of the Tirollerhof. Guide friends invited me to go along on the high route, a 2-week extreme hut trip from Switzerland to France over the Alps on skis with only a backpack. It was a white magical world. I had never seen anything like it. In the icy spots, we were roped together and instructed not to fall or we would all die. Good thing I learned to ski ice at Cliffs Ridge. Years later, Guide Sandro became a helicopter pilot and guided me in the bugaboos in Canada. The 1 year I was planning on being in Switzerland turned into over 3 years. By that time, I thought it was best to get back to the States and continue on with my studies. But I was in shell shock from being over there so long, and then I thought I had to go somewhere and chill out. I ended up in Jackson Hole, Wyoming. I got a job waitressing at the Tram Bar. I also sewed and repaired broken zippers for the local dry cleaner. I was skiing all day and working in the evenings, not casually skiing. I was skiing all day long, at least 6 days a week, but I was still trying to get rid of my knock-kneed stance. I read everything about skiing that I could get my hands on. Then I read How the Race Was Skied by Warren Witherall. It was explaining about stance on skis and that if you're knock-kneed, you need something called cants. I told my ski buddies about the cants and they told me it was BS. If you're a good skier, you can ski on anything. You don't need that crap. They skied better than me, so I believed them. One day I was skiing down a cat track, caught an edge and flew off the cliff. Luckily, the ski patrol had set rope nets and I got caught like a fish. I knew that shouldn't have happened to me, so I went down to the ski shop and got canted. The machine registers that I was so knock-kneed, it was like I was blind on skis. They said, how the hell can you ski as well as you do? You're a mess. I knew it's because I developed technique at Cliffs Ridge. That night they installed cants under my bindings. I picked up my skis and took the first tram up. Eureka! I couldn't believe it. I skied nonstop down the entire mountain, better than I had ever skied in my life. I skied into the woods, threw my skis as far as I could throw them. I sat in the woods and cried for about an hour. All the years of lessons, racing, and time on the hill, trying to get rid of my knock-kneed stance. And all I needed was 2 pieces of plastic under my bindings. I was blown away. Since that day, I've skied with cants. Anatomy is destiny. They're like glasses. If you need them, you need them. If you don't, you don't. That day was the turning point in my life. It was the day I started to experiment with changing my skiing by changing my ski gear, not more lessons or time on the hill. I left Jackson after one winter. It wasn't a good fit for me. The weather was extreme. I'm not a cowgirl. And in those days, they were burning bras at the après bonfires, and I've always had to wear one. It was time to move on. I headed back to Marquette to go back to school, but I happened to drive by Boyne Mountain, where they were advertising for a ski instructor in their children's program. I couldn't resist. I got the job. This is the first photo ever taken of me with cants under my bindings. They were just as important as Boyne, even though it wasn't as steep as Jackson. Boyne had the best ski weeks. I had the kids for 4 days and was really able to teach them a lot. I love the dog in this picture. If you look at the kids starting from the right, they're young and straight-legged. The poor girl on the far left is knock-kneed, which shows up at puberty. Sadly, I didn't know how to help her because I didn't have any experience at the time. I made it through the winter, but knew I had to head back to the mountains. I wasn't ready to come home to the flatlands. A northern classmate was a foreman at Wakefield Fisheries at Sandpoint. He knew I needed a job and said I should come up for a few months before ski season. I could work off my travel expenses. Why not? So I headed to Alaska. It was a huge operation based in the Shumagon Islands at the end of the Aleutian Range. It was a crab and shrimp processing plant. It was an indoor job sorting parts on a conveyor belt, basically line work. I wanted to stay in shape for racing, so I really needed to be outdoors unloading the crab from the boats, but women weren't allowed to work on the docks. As it happens, a 400-footer came in to pick up product, but had its lines tangled up in its propeller and was immobilized. My foreman knew that I had my PADI's scuba diving certification and asked if I would make the dive with him to cut the line off. I agreed, but only if they put my name on the list of workers that were lined up to go out on the docks. They really didn't think my name would come up, but it did. They had to let me go out on the boats and unload crab. It caused a real commotion with most of the men. They did not want me there and let me know it. I was about to become a civil liberties suit. Luckily for me, the college daughter of the head of the plant had worked with me and said I was okay. To his credit, he went down to the fishermen to ask if I was doing the job. They said I didn't come in drunk or hungover and got the job done in less time. They said I was the best unloader they ever had. After my stint there, I hitchhiked from Anchorage to Fairbanks to Skagway down to Juneau, and then on the boat from there to Vancouver. I met some skiers that were headed to Sun Valley. It didn't take much to convince me I should tag along. Sun Valley was love at first sight. I felt at home with the Austrian vibe. I was the first woman ever hired to work on the race department. I was hired at the same pay rate as the guys. The job was well matched to my racing past. When the racing work was done, I'd let the guys take off and go skiing while I took care of closing things up. I was out to prove myself. It was tough physical work. A couple of months went by and my girlfriend in charge of payroll told me I was getting 25 cents an hour less than the guys. I was livid. I went to the boss and said, I won't blow the whistle on you if you promise that you would never do it to another woman again. He never did. I also got the 25 cents an hour back pay. When you're working on the mountain, you really don't get to ski for yourself. I found a waitressing job at night at the River Street Retreat so I could get back to my own skiing. When I was back on the mountain, I noticed a lot of other women skiing knock-kneed, and I knew what their problem was. They needed cants. I had to help them. It wasn't their fault. I went to the Vegas ski show in 1978 to try to convince manufacturers they needed to do something about it. I was greeted with absolute total disbelief. One man listened and said I didn't need cants, I needed orthotics. He made me a pair. The best part of my trip was meeting my future husband, Tom Hawes, on St. Paddy's Day. He listened to me and instantly believed my ideas and theories. He became my staunchest advocate. I got back to Sun Valley and added the orthotics to my ski boots. It made another instant change in my edging abilities. However, he wasn't 100% correct. I needed my cants because I have such a large Q angle. It was a combination of the two that made it perfect. The Q angle is the width of the hips of the angles to the knee. The circles indicate lower center of gravity. Because of the Q angle, women have more trouble with their ligaments than men. They also blow out their ACL 5 times more than men in skiing. The next thing I was working on in my skiing was to not sit back. I tried to keep my hips underneath me, but every time I stood up in the right body position, my heels would lift off the bottoms of my boots. So I went home and found a box of matches and put them under my heels, and eureka, it worked. It took up the space, and for the first time I was standing in my boots with my hips underneath me. I could finally push the bush, not the tush. It also raised my pinched lower calf muscle up out of the top of the boot. I knew from years of ice skating and dancing that girls' heels are lifted. Why not in my ski boots? The next day I went to the top of Sun Valley, skied nonstop to the bottom, skied into the woods, threw my skis as far as I could throw them, and cried for another hour. My skiing got a notch better instantly. To this day, I ski with heel lifts in my boots. During the summer, I needed an additional job to afford my rent. I had learned how to paint and wallpaper from my father. I was one of the only women painters in town. That led me to being the set designer for 11 productions at the Opera House. This is the Play It Again Sam set on stage. Yes, this t-shirt is stored in my trunk with my other stuff. In January 1980, I took the Greyhound bus to Stratton Mountain, Vermont to attend the first Women's Ski Expo. I attended a lecture that was about to change my life. A non-skiing female pediatrician was lecturing on little boys, little girls, puberty, and the adult body. She had charts that showed that at puberty, the boys get bigger, stronger, and taller. The girls' hips widen out and their weight moves to the rear in all sports and stays that way forever. Women have a lower center of gravity. On the 4-day bus ride back to Sun Valley, I got the idea that if I can't get my weight forward, why can't I just pick my bindings up and move them forward on my skis? Now that's a real Uber concept, isn't it? Why not? Got back and moved the bindings forward on my skis 1 inch. The next morning, I went to the top of Sun Valley, skied down nonstop, and you guessed it, skied into the woods, threw my skis as far as I could throw them, and cried. It worked. I was finally in the right balance point to the ski. No more wandering tips and sliding tails, gone. It was total heresy to the guys. I was breaking the rules. They were all making fun of me. How dare a girl be so brazen? While riding the chairlift one morning, I was watching and analyzing the skiers underneath me and realized that if I could change their equipment, they'd ski better in a day. Then I realized that I was watching women had the problems, not men. That was the day I opened up Pandora's box and got myself into a lifetime of helping out women who needed my help because I was brought up to help those in need. Nadine Cohotis was visiting from Cliffs Ridge and I was celebrating. She was the first woman I ever moved the bindings forward on. It worked for her too. From 1980 to 83, I experimented with 30 women with their ski equipment, both binding location and heel lifts. They were beginning to experts. It worked, it changed and helped their skiing. I knew I was on to something. Why me? When I discovered Kants, women were having their first child. When I discovered heel lifts, they were on their second. When I was moving my bindings forward, they were having their third. Other women didn't have the time to put these thoughts together, let alone a theory. Because I made other choices in life, I was afforded the opportunity to experience and question and challenge. In 1982, the owner of K2 Skis flew me up to the factory on Vashon Island to look into building a woman's ski. The engineers were 100% on board and were excited to get started on new designs. However, the head of the marketing department said that women would never buy a woman's ski. The male-dominated ski business got me again. I headed back to Sun Valley defeated. That winter, I was training for the Birkebeiner and cross-country skiing on the golf course. Sony Walkmans had just come out. To my shock, I realized that I couldn't keep time to music. My right leg was far stronger than my left. Same thing happened on the Alpine slopes. My turns were totally out of sync with my right leg dominated. I started to work on making my left side equal to my right. It turns out that my right leg is longer and my right foot is a size and a half larger than the left. That difference goes back to when I broke my leg from the toboggan accident. When you're injured at such an early age, the broken leg goes into hyper mode to heal and gets bigger and stronger. I added extra lift to my left boot, just like Seppi did to help even me out. Seppi, with his broken leg, helped shape equipment and technique into the future. I don't want you to think I was a lousy skier. I won the pin binding downhill 3 years in a row and came in second in age and 15th woman overall at the Birkebeiner. In 1979, I was the Sun Valley Ski Meister, and that means best all-around woman skier, alpine and Nordic combined. I had a column called The Woman Skier in Ski Magazine outlining my theories about women's equipment. It was the start of the Thorin theory, that women aren't small men and need their own equipment. This was a big deal. Because of my articles, I was flown to Buck Hill, Minnesota in January 1985 to hold my first women's ski seminar. We went straight to the ski hill. I almost had a heart attack. I had forgotten how short the slopes were. I wanted to leave. I went through the clinic and worked with over 35 women. That was another day that changed my life. I accidentally found out that you don't need the mountains to feel the changes. You only need to make 10 turns to see if you're in better balance. That day made it possible for me to hold clinics anywhere, even at small hills like at Pine Mountain, Michigan. I returned to Sun Valley and kept working on the Thorin theory. Women are not small men, and they need different equipment. By 1985, I was becoming discouraged because I had so much resistance, mostly from the guys. So much negativity wears you down. The chip on my shoulder turned into a 2x4. I went to a family wedding on Mackinac Island and thought I should just give up and go home to Marquette. Miraculously, I got a phone call from Larry Nardoni, the owner of Sport Dynaco in Montreal, Canada. He had hired a biomechanics lab to research the question, are women built so much differently than men that they need different equipment? The answer came back a resounding yes. And there was a woman in Sun Valley that knew all about it. The next thing I knew, I was in Montreal, then on to the Blizzard factory in Mittersill, Austria. Blizzard built all the skis of their line and put Test L cosmetics on them. My project was to go back to Sun Valley and see which skis the women liked best and did they like the bindings forward. I spent all day, every day, having women try the skis. The women picked out the softer flexing skis and preferred the bindings forward. The next summer, I was sent back to Austria to learn how to build skis from the ground up. The owner of Blizzard did not want me in his factory and said that if I couldn't be there because I speak German, I would have to speak German at work. Ha, I got him. Washing dishes in Switzerland really paid off. I worked every machinery in the factory. The workers were really nice to me. I worked the early shift doing the same shitty jobs they were doing, never complaining. Every time the owner would come into the factory, the word would spread. I had to go hide in the Dunkelkammer, the dark room, so he wouldn't see me. I turned 40 that summer and Herr Arnsteiner gave me a bottle of champagne and the day off. He told me he actually saw the horrible accident that Seppi took that ended up shortening his leg. I'm sure that's why he didn't kick me out of the factory. Seppi saved me. The first women's ski with the bindings forward, the Fame, was produced. I went back to Canada to sell them. The grand opening of Fame was at Sporting Life Ski Shop in Toronto. It was a huge success. Later, I visited 56 ski shops from Montreal to Vancouver and trained staff that fall. At the Vegas ski show that next spring, Larry told me that the project was going great, but I couldn't be based in Sun Valley, work for a firm in Montreal, and build skis in Austria. I had to move to Montreal. I was living in this cute little A-frame 2 blocks from the Warm Springs lift. As a ski bum, I had finally made it. As much as I hated to leave Sun Valley, I knew I had to leave. I sold everything in a yard sale and headed back to Marquette to hang out for the summer. Tom Haas by that time was running Fisher Cross Country in Woburn, Massachusetts, and had an 11-day vacation to Isle Royal planned. Did I want to join him? Absolutely. I met him in Copper Harbor. I called Montreal to tell them I was disappearing to a place with no roads, phones, etc., but I was on track to be in Montreal in 2 weeks. Larry sadly had to tell me that Herr Arnsteiner had fired his son and any project his son was in charge of was immediately terminated. I cried all the way over on the Queen for 4 hours. If I hadn't been with Tom, I would have been committed into the hospital. I was 100% married to this project and I was just divorced. I couldn't go back to Sun Valley with my tail between my legs, so I went to Marquette to lick my wounds. It's there that I met Dar and Ron Watson, the owners of the jewelry store. Because of my theater background, they hired me to paint the gold mine in their shop. It took me about 3 months to complete the job. It's still there 30 years later. Vern Barber thankfully gave me a free season pass to Marquette Mountain, so I got to formally continue my experimenting with women skiers back home. That next spring, Tom Haas moved back to his home in Duluth, Minnesota. He came to Marquette and picked me up. He knew that if I I would head out west if he didn't find something for me to do with skiing in Duluth. Tom had won the American Birkebeiner and had good ties with the ski shops and at Spirit Mountain. Because of his ski connections, they let me start doing women's equipment clinics there. They were very successful. We got married on August 22nd, 1992. The UP Enquirer wedding invitation stirred up a lot of interest in attending. We had to order more beer and extra pasties. A good time was had by all. We held it at a friend's waterfront so all the kids could go swimming, and I got to water ski on my wedding day. Spirit Mountain clinics were getting very popular. One weekend, I had a group of 10 women taking the class. With each of the equipment changes, they skied better. One of the women kept complaining she couldn't feel the difference. I was really exasperated. She was clearly skiing better. In the end, I couldn't target her, so I took everyone's gear away from them and put them back on what they started with. I was shocked. Each and every one of them fell apart. The saying, "you don't miss something until after it's gone," took on a new meaning. That's how I got my nickname, Mean Jean. The woman later apologized and told me she had recently had brain surgery and was a little out of sorts. Anyway, the word spread. We started going to Minneapolis, to Buck Hill, and ended up doing clinics across the US. We went from Lake Placid, New York to Mount Bachelor, Oregon, with a 28-foot trailer loaded to the gills with 100 pairs of skis and 100 pairs of boots. I tested skis and boots for Ski Magazine every year, so I knew which was the best equipment to have in my clinics. We updated our gear every year for over 15 years. We had the largest demo fleet in the country, men's and women's. We loved doing clinics at the Otsego Club. They had a great setup. They had a lecture room where we could do boot fitting indoors. The skis were right outside the door. The slope started right there. Another of our favorite places to do clinics was at Crystal Mountain, Michigan. We returned for many years. In 1984, I was inducted into the Women's Skiing Hall of Fame at Beaver Creek, Colorado. In 2004, I was hired by Dina Star Skis as women's product manager. During that time, I did fall lecture tours for women called ski soirees. It was a combination of a party where I lectured in fit boots and sold skis. It was also staff training for the guys in the back room. My ski, the Dina Star Carve, got 2007 Ski of the Year in Ski Magazine. The 3 years of working for them turned into 4. In 2009, Tom and I opened up the Jeannie Thoren's Women's Ski Center in Vail, Colorado. Emblazoned across the front of the store states, "Women are not small men." It was an instant success. Now women didn't have to look for us all around the country. We were in one place. The guys that worked at the other ski shops in the neighborhood were all laughing at us and were placing bets on how long we would survive. I dug in my Yooper heels and stood my ground. Because Tom and I knew the real reason why women need different equipment than men, we were a huge success. Health reasons caused us to sell the business to our good friends who owned Outdoor Divas in Boulder, Colorado. To this day, they are hugely successful in staying true to the women's only ski concept. We're happy to be back home in Duluth, back on Lake Superior. We're retired, but are still contacted by women seeking our advice. I was inducted into the Colorado Snow Sports Hall of Fame in Vail, Colorado in August last year. It was an unbelievable honor to be recognized for our lifetime of working with women. So that's right, women are not small men. We blaze trails, question the status quo, solve problems. Our lives are open to choices, opportunities, and achievements through our struggles, defeats, and triumphs. We stand on the shoulders of those who came before us. It was the foundation my parents laid that I was able to take off and land again. Later, it was the support from friends, too many to name, that kept me going and bucking the system. It has been my greatest honor to tell my story to you tonight as we celebrate the achievements of women this March 2023. Thanks for listening.
Jeannie Thoren didn't start out to save the world. She just wanted to be a better skier. Along the way, she found herself revolutionizing the thinking of an entire industry. Born in Marquette, Michigan, into a community of hardworking Scandinavian immigrants, the traits of self-reliance and a pioneering attitude surfaced early in Thorin. She started skiing around age 10 and took up racing. As a competitor, she was constantly being told by coaches to get forward on her skis, stop bending at the waist, and to lose her knock-kneed stance. Unable to do so, her growing frustration led to experimentation. She found that to perfect her own skiing, she needed to make some serious adjustments to her ski equipment. Finally, she developed a system of modifying her equipment which was designed by men for men. It worked, and realizing that she had hit upon something that could be beneficial to other women, she would make it her life's work to help other women skiers by making their equipment better. Indeed, women were not small men.
Everything she did from the time that she was a ski racer to coordinating and changing her own ski equipment to see what worked and what didn't, to make her a better ski racer, helped revolutionize the whole ski industry.
Recognizing that women have smaller feet and a lower center of gravity than men, she focused on better fitting boots, including footbeds, heel lifts, and cants under the bindings, along with moving the bindings forward on the skis that women used.
One of my favorite stories is it was basically a matchbook that she put under the heel of her ski boot, and she saw how much that made a difference. And then she studied women's anatomy, and she knew something was different for us as far as our binding placement, and also just where we really needed to be located on the ski to make it perform the best.
In 1981, she held her first women's skier clinic at Buck Hill, Minnesota. That inspired her to set up regular clinics, up to 70 per season, around the country from 1988 to 2006, when she traveled with a trailer of gear in tow. Her Thorin's Theory women's ski equipment seminars helped thousands of women throughout North America to improve their skiing.
And at that point, she and Tom said, you know what? This is such great information for women. I think we should take the show on the road. And so they did. They piled all these skis and boots in their trailer, and they went on the road and had all these appointments with places that would host a bunch of women and talked about the equipment. Seeing how these women responded to her. And she was like the guru. She was like the Dalai Lama. You know, she just talked and they listened. And that was all it took. And she just had this following of women that was fantastic.
In 1986, she designed what is believed to be the first specific women's ski for Blizzard. In addition to her clinics, she worked as a marketing consultant and drew attention from the ski press, thus creating awareness and demand for women-centric gear. This raised the bar for the entire ski industry while improving the sport for all women. The exclusive carved ski that she designed for Dynastar became Ski Magazine's Ski of the Year in 2007.
Jeannie always said that women are not just small men. They are built differently, they ski differently, and they need equipment to address those differences. As she spread the word on how these changes help women ski better and have more fun, at her demos and ski soiree, manufacturers began to take notice.
In 2009, Thorin and her husband Tom opened Jeannie Thoren's Women's Ski Center in Vail. It was the first women's ski shop in the country to focus on women's-specific equipment. The center's success has once again proven to the ski industry that if you build it right, she will buy it. The couple enjoyed 6 very successful seasons in Lion's Head, but health issues forced the center's sale to their personal and professional friends, Outdoor Divas.
And working with Jeannie through the years, you know, we knew she had this store in Vail, and whenever she was ready and had to leave, she approached us, and we absolutely wanted to come back to the mountains. It was a wonderful transition that we were very excited to be a part of. Jeannie's contribution to women's skiing in Colorado is undeniable. She's played a huge role. She has gotten hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of women with the store, but also she would come through in a trailer and do on-snow demos with her husband. And she's helped so many women become much better, much more confident skiers that I think it's had a huge impact on our state.
Jeannie is currently a partner with the Stedman Biomotion Lab in Vail, taking part in their stance and balance biomechanics in women-specific ski boot study and its effect on ACL injury risk and performance factors.
I built a new research lab here, and one day she just came in and was walking by the labs right in the lobby, and she just knocked on the door and said, "Hey, I'm interested in movement and mechanics, so what does the Biomotion Lab do exactly?" And that started up a conversation that led to a multi-year research collaboration. We looked at some of the things that she's really advocated for, heel lifts in particular, and then also canting of ski boots, and found that they really do change the way someone skis, and it's really important, something Jeannie's been pitching all along, that women get fitted in a way that their equipment is working optimally for them.
Named one of the 100 most influential skiers of the century by Ski Magazine, Thorin is a member of the first Skiing for Women Hall of Fame class of 1995, as well as being named one of the 25 most influential people in skiing in 1999 by Skiing Magazine. She was inducted into the U.S. Ski and Snowboard Hall of Fame in 2014.
There are so many women in skiing that we need to recognize. But when you look at somebody that's a total package, somebody who's been the athlete, been the person to change equipment, the person that knows the insides of how the industry works, and honoring her for all of those talents, you put the crown on the right person.
Her belief that the weak link in most women's skiing is usually their equipment still rings true today, and it is our pleasure to welcome Jeannie Thoren to the Colorado Snow Sports Hall of Fame as an honored member of the class of 2022.
Fantastic. Well, Jeannie, great job, wonderful presentation, and I kept up for the most part with the photos. There were
I
a
think
lot
they
of
got
photos,
it.
but it was wonderful, just such wonderful stuff. I've been watching the YouTube comments, and I think I only have one question, which I'll get to in a bit, but there are just a few people who wanted some shout outs. Amanda Farrell said, "Jeannie has been a huge inspiration since that women's clinic and I became a ski coach. Last weekend, our team hosted 10 members of the Canadian ski team in North Bay, Ontario."
Huh.
And Linda Smith says, "Met Jean in Rochester, Michigan at the ski company. I got my long boots with interchangeable toe heel for cants. Made a huge difference. Helped me instruct women too." Jeannie, Lily here watching from Plymouth, Massachusetts. Fun to see all your old photos and to see Tom. You'll be happy to know I'm still putting the heel lifts in my boots. And by the way, Jeannie's brother, Sonny Thorin, was arguably the greatest parachutist instructor in the UP. Maybe you should do a similar presentation with Sonny. Well, that is a good idea.
Yes.
So the one question that someone did ask on the chat was, what do you think about the Sanderson versus Peltro case that's going on right now?
Oh. Well, it was a mix-up because I don't know if it was reported right away. I don't know if when she got down to her ski instructor, you know what? I don't know. It's confusing, but doesn't do the sport any good either. There's two conflicting stories. Like she said that she ran into him, or he ran into her, and he thinks that she ran into him, and there wasn't anybody that witnessed it. That's the tough one.
Yeah.
But she should have stopped because clearly he wasn't going anywhere and she skied off. And that's not, not so great. She should have stayed there and, finished it out. But
Yeah, that's the thing. I think any of us who've been in crashes like that, and
it's
stay
always,
put.
it's always the person from the rear that caused the problem.
Yeah,
The person in the front didn't, it's the person in the back. So was she in the back of him?
I remember skiing with my daughter once, and I don't remember where it was, and she kept looking back before she would ski, and kept looking back while she was skiing. And I'm like, you don't worry about who's behind you. You worry about who's in front of you. Let
Yeah.
them take care of themselves, and hopefully they won't run into you. But she was so afraid that somebody was going to come. I'm like, no, you need to keep looking forward down a hill.
Once you're moving, yes, but when you take off to go skiing, you have to look up the hill.
Oh,
to
you
see
bet.
if anybody's coming at you, and then you can take off.
Yeah.
And then that's why the person in the front is the one not at fault. It's the one in the rear. It's sad. Sorry, it's happening.
Yeah. I want to ask you a question.
Yeah.
Because someone mentioned this to me recently. They said, in our exhibit, we have all these pictures, and they noticed, they're like, "Wow, nobody's wearing helmets." And
Right.
I'm like, yeah, until Natasha Richardson died from her fall in Canada, which was on a bunny hill of all places.
Right.
Helmets were not commonly worn. But after that, it really shifted. Did you see that very quickly, a shift towards
It
helmets?
happened overnight.
Yeah.
But there was also Sonny Bono.
Yeah.
What was his name? Yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't he hit a tree or something? And then a
Mhm.
Kennedy also.
Yeah.
And it was the three of them in close proximity in time that forced it through. But I don't think it's a bad idea. I've been wearing a helmet for years, and I don't know if you noticed in the picture, I've got a funny looking one, because it's a helmet that comes down over your goggles, the piece does. And you see that in like the Tour de France, when they're doing the time trials, they're going to that same system because it does block things on. And I have them because I wear glasses.
Yeah.
Because my goggles always fogged up. And
Yeah.
it wasn't until I got this, it's a new concept, and I don't know where it is that keeps trying to stay in there, but I don't know. People are hard to change. It's like I
They
said,
really are.
If I had known when I was starting out on this little adventure years ago, I thought I could change things. I really thought I could change things, but if I had known how long it would have taken, would I have done it?
Sure.
I would
Yeah,
have done
of
it.
course you would have. We've got another comment from Linda McGavin. She says, "You are my guru. I have followed your teachings about women's skiing for over 30 years. At age 75, I'm still a black diamond skier thanks to you."
Yes, I love hearing that.
That's fantastic. Here's a question. What's your best advice to girls just starting to ski?
Just starting to ski. Okay, you're going to be renting ski equipment. Have somebody make sure that the boots fit and take lessons. I could never afford to take lessons, but they have really inexpensive group lessons. Don't leave it for your father, your mother, or whatever. If they don't know how to teach skiing, take a lesson from a person that knows what they're doing. Like Seppi. He's the reason why I was successful, because I had the great instruction. It was Seppi.
I agree. I taught my kids both when they first started, when they were like 3 or 4. I took them out and showed them how to do it. But when they joined the Marquette racing team,
They skied better than you.
within like a year or two, I couldn't even keep up with them. They were absolutely fantastic, and it was because they had that the actual lessons from people. I didn't know what else to teach them at that point, and I wasn't the most patient instructor.
So did they have Dwight as their racing
Yeah,
host?
Dwight was one of their coaches
Oh.
and many others that you probably would remember well.
Enrico Zenti?
I don't think
Yeah.
Rico was actually coaching anymore at that point.
He still
So,
races every week.
yeah, but I don't think he was doing the coaching.
Okay,
Uh,
Dwight's the
oh,
best.
here's a question.
Okay,
Are heel lifts available in ski shops? I tried to get a replacement when I bought my new boots, but I can't find heel lifts anywhere.
I know it's still a problem. I've got a whole bunch in my basement. I can ship them out.
Well,
But-
where would you go to buy them? Like shoe stores?
No, in ski shops.
In ski shops. So
Yes,
they
go to
have
ski shops.
a good ski shop should have some heel lifts.
Yes, this is the height of mine. It's almost a ½ inch. And mine have tape on the back that you pull off and you can stick it to the bottom of your boot so they don't move around. But very few shops carry heel lifts this high. I'm much more aggressive than most of the shops are because they still don't believe me. It's like they say, oh, putting heel lifts in makes you sit back. And I'm going, if you walk into a room with women that have high heels on, do you think they're sitting back? No, they're standing with their hips underneath them and going like this, and the guys love it. So they do not make you sit back. That's a misconception.
Well, the person who asked that I had the ones that I bought from you in 1995 until a few years ago. So they were
Okay.
very well used. Here's another question. How do you see the sport evolving, especially for women?
It's not really going to be where I want it to be until there's more women in charge in the equipment end of things. And it's like I keep saying, if you don't have the problem, you don't know how to fix it. Guys don't know how to fix these problems that women are having. And the other women that are really, good skiers, not all women are built the same either. The women that are really athletic in all sports are more of a male build. You don't see a lot of the pear shapes out there. I mean, this is a generalization, but basically anatomy is destiny. And, we go through puberty and the hips widen out and the bottom drops out. Some women just go through puberty and they end up being, fashion models and stuff. This didn't happen to them. So it's the women that I'm helping that have the problems, not the women. If you look at the number of top level ski instructors in the country, not a very high percentage of them are women. And they don't flunk because of their teaching skills. They're really good teachers. They don't get it because they don't ski the way the guys want them to ski. So, that's something else to look at too. And I'm after the people that want help. They're looking for it and not the ones that don't need it. So it's going to take more things like the study going out on in Vail. That's going to help change things because it's really going to have to come from science to get it to change. But it really truly is going to take women at the helm, and we just aren't there.
Here's another question. Do the top women racers use your ideas for their equipment?
The top women racers, look, how many pairs of skis does Michaela have? A couple million? All the top racers know exactly what they need to have. They have racers following them. They've got a staff of people tuning their skis, fixing their boots. They have all the advantages of having the help. I noticed in 1977 when I was working on the race department that there weren't any fluffettes on the World Cup tour. Back then we had to eat like the guys, ski like the guys, drink like the guys, dress like the guys. You weren't allowed to be feminine. That's gone now because that has changed. But still at the very bottom is anatomy is destiny. And you get to the top, they're all working really hard too. But so did I, but I wasn't getting anywhere. So the equipment makes a big difference, but the women at the top already have a consortium of people making sure that everything is right with their equipment. They get exactly what they want,
Good.
and they deserve it.
You bet. And Michaela is amazing.
Oh, congratulations, Michaela.
Yeah.
Phenomenal athlete. So I was teaching, I was working on the race department in Sun Valley when Ingeborg, when Stenmark was racing. And here's one, we ate at the same, employees cafe that they did when they would come through. And I actually saw Stenmark unicycle backwards up a flight of stairs. And I thought, whoa. Whoa. And it's the same thing with Michaela, two extraordinary human beings and skiers, and they deserve everything they've got.
Here's a shout out. Special greetings from Jim and Karen Rennie. Good job. Love listening to your life adventures. I love selling women's skis at Boyne Country Sports in Traverse City. Thank you.
I had to leave out the part where I came down to be in the Cherry Queen Festival.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I had to leave that out because it was getting too long, but Jimmy Rennie was there on the team, and I actually didn't want to go to the Cherry Queen Festival. I just wanted to go and meet all the guys back in Traverse City after the Nationals. I wanted to go and hang out with my ski friends. So when they were asking me in the tournament, and why do you want to be Miss Cherry Queen? And I said, oh no, I wanted to come down here and see my ski racing buddies. I was not queen material.
You would have been a great queen. Here's a comment. How about a women over 60 can still rip clinic?
For me to do it?
Yeah. Or somebody.
Try over 75. I've been out of the loop now, so I don't know what's going on. But yes, a clinic. Where is she from?
I don't know where she's from, but I don't know.
I wish they would.
That's one question. I do want you. I know that people would like to get a hold of you, and I know it was a challenge when we were still when I was trying to connect with you for the first time. What would be the best way for people to connect with you if they have questions for you, Jeannie?
Probably Jeannie Thoren at AOL.com.
Okay.
My name, JeanThoren at AOL.com. Because I'm not the type of person that can answer a question when the question is just coming at me. I have to think about it overnight. And
Sure.
I wake up in the middle of the night and I figure it out. So it's actually better if they sent a short email with a question and I'll get back to them. I'd love to help.
I want to open it up to the folks who are on Facebook or on Zoom, the actual Zoom call. I sent Jeannie the link for the video, and she used the link for the Zoom call to send to her friends. So a bunch of them are actually on the Zoom call. Do any of you have any questions or comments you'd like to make? Just turn your microphone on and fire away.
Jeannie, this is Heidi in Vail.
Hello, Heidi.
I just want to say thank you for me and the girls. And I took a picture of Ellie and Sophie.
Oh, wonderful.
They will be here with me this weekend, so I will
send them my love.
I know.
I miss you. Heidi was the one that put on my clinics in Vail, Colorado, and got me really the recognition that Tom and I got. It was all Heidi that did it.
Proud to do it and had a good time.
I love you. I miss you.
And I work 3 hours a week in a ski shop in Vail to get a free ski pass. And
good.
They sometimes say, Heidi, go sell some skis or help this lady. And I put heel lifts in. That's the first thing. So if anybody's in Vail and they need help, you can reach out to me.
Good. Tell them how to get a hold of you.
I do have a email, Heidi, Heidi, J is in Joe, B is in boy, F is in Frank, @gmail.com. And my phone number is fine. I'm also a real estate broker, 970-390-8383. And I'd be more than happy to ski with somebody, give them words of wisdom, help them, because I still have the passion to help women on the ski hill.
Please go see Heidi. Please.
I'm in Vail and Beaver Creek. I live here full time. And I met Jeannie in 1973 at the ski show. And my ski life changed, even though I'd skied since I was 3 and was a ski instructor since I was 15. And the guys still don't get it.
So, Frank, did you have something you wanted to ask?
Oh, that's me. I just wanted to say to Jeannie, that was a wonderful presentation. I was so proud of you.
Oh,
And I'm Jeannie's favorite sister.
Jeannie's favorite sister.
I think I've met you.
Yeah, probably last summer.
did I do okay for mom and dad?
Yes. I don't know where you got all those pictures. Wow.
I have way more. Poor Dan. Do you know how many photographs I sent him? The poor
Yeah,
guy.
well, send them to me.
Okay, on Sisters Week, we'll go through them.
There you go. There you go.
Okay,
Mhm.
Love you.
Love you too, Jeannie. It was wonderful.
Thank you.
So, any other comments? Does anybody else want to?
Hey, Jeannie, it's Mick.
Mick,
Yes,
from
and
Aspen.
yes, and I'm Jeannie's connection in Aspen, and we did try to get through the Bold Boys Club here. We had a rough time, and Jeannie came to work with us at Stephen Kalin's shop in 1999, and I got to do a couple of clinics with her and Tom, and it's definitely changed my life too, to be able to work with Jeannie. And then we tested skis together for Ski Magazine, and then I supported her shop in Vail as much as I could from this side of Colorado. But I'm so glad to see this. I was a little late getting on, but even though I've heard a lot of your story, it was great to see those pictures again. And
Thanks,
Jeannie
Mick.
deserves every accolade we give her.
Thanks, Mick. Love you.
And we've got to give Tom a shout out because he was the backbone of the tour.
Yes. So, Kathy,
I know he's still in the background.
Kathy, do you have anything you'd like to say?
This is Kathy from Sun Valley.
Kathy, hello.
And I sure hope you can come back and because I'm building a little guest house this summer, and you'd have an actual bed to sleep on. Imagine that.
Oh, wow, imagine that.
Yeah.
So have you been able to ski?
I've been really busy. I've been working on all kinds of stuff. A couple of grants for my farm, and also putting together for the college that we have here, irrigation classes for the residential irrigation fellows. And I'm doing a PowerPoint presentation on native plants at the Environmental Resource Center next week. So I've just had a lot of stuff going on.
Great. Well,
And-
now that I'm going to know how to Zoom, I can Zoom call with you now. In your
Yeah,
kitchen.
yeah. So
You too,
come,
Heidi.
come visit me in Sun Valley whenever you can.
I will. Thanks, Kath.
Yeah.
Love you.
But Jim, did you want to say something?
Yeah, Jeannie, how are you? First off, I think the first time you and I met was at the Chicago Ski Show, and you and Tom were sitting on the floor trying to fit boots. And it's always been fun. And JT and I are out here skiing at Vail right now.
Oh,
he just
great.
He just went into the shop today, to your former shop, and bought his wife Cindy another pair of skis. That makes about 750 pairs of skis he's got, I think. But anyway, we've had wonderful fun, and certainly when I got the invitation, I couldn't hesitate to jump on and listen. And your presentation was fantastic. So thanks.
Thanks, Jim. Would you take a run for us tomorrow?
I will do that. And I will tell you that the stuff that you've been doing, the Central Division for our ski patrols, we have put women's clinics on all over the place. So it's really going well. And lots of women are gaining expertise from all of that and the work that you've done. So thank you.
Thank you, Jim, for all you've done for us.
Wow, fantastic. A couple more comments online.
Okay.
From Eric Drogos, my wife and I are instructors for Vail, and we loved your presentation. Back in the day, we were patrollers at Indian Head, where Sepp was the director. And I think they mean Sepp Oberthaler, not the other Sepp.
Right.
Yours was Seppi.
Moser.
Yeah, so they all knew each other.
Well, they did, because it was all the Austrians that came over and started skiing here in America.
Yeah,
And
well,
were lucky enough
they needed ski instructor jobs, and they could get them here.
Yeah, and they all came over here, and when they saw the flatlands, they almost had heart attacks and went straight back to Austria. The ones that hung out really taught us a lot.
And then Laurel LeBlanc says, so fun to hear your life story along with your ski equipment journey. You changed my ski life for sure. You deserve every accolade. Let me know when your Women Over 60 Who Rip clinic happens.
Okay, Laurel.
So someone else mentioned that if you want that clinic, you should get together with Heidi out in Vail next winter.
Yes.
I always wanted to do an alumni clinic, and we talked about it for years, but unfortunately that probably won't happen. But just give me a call and I'll go skiing.
You can do it though, Heidi. You could have people, if they get a hold of you, you could do it.
Reach out to me. So we'll figure something out. Jeannie and I were always very creative.
We got in a lot of trouble.
More ways than one. She helped me.
I might even come over from Aspen.
Yeah.
Every time that we'd try to get in somewhere, it was like we were sneaking underneath the circus tent.
We snuck into a few
snuck into everything.
And Jeannie and Tom helped raise my daughters to be wonderful skiers.
Well, thank you everyone for joining us tonight. It's just been wonderful, Jeannie. It exceeded my expectations.
And I'm so glad it's over.
You were
Luckily,
great.
I had a pasty for dinner, and now I'm going to have a beer.
Yeah, there you go. You deserve it.
And Jeannie would always stay with us and play the piano for us. It was fabulous.
So those of you who live in the Marquette area, we have a display about Jeannie in our current exhibit on alpine skiing in the Upper Peninsula, which unfortunately will only be up through Saturday. And so if you want to see it, we'll be open tomorrow from 11 to 7. We have a closing reception from 5 to 7 tomorrow night. There will be snacks and things. And then on Saturday, we'll be open from 12 to 4, but then it will be coming down, though there is some talk of it going elsewhere for a while. We'll see if that happens, and we'll certainly let everyone know if it does. Someone said, hey, dumpster diver, we enjoyed your presentation. This is Sherry Hofeck.
Sherry!
Thanks for all you and Tom have done. We were exhausted watching, trying to keep up with all you have done. Mary Hennessy says, Jeannie, you have been an inspiration to all of us. Your dedication, positive attitude, and warrior focus gave us the ground to stand on. Love you, girl. And lastly, this is Ann Carefoot Gingrich, by the way.
Ann, hi.
Give you some smooches. So we've had a lot of people on. Linda wants to say something.
Yes, I do, Jeannie. From Rennie and I here in Duluth, we're so proud to be your friends.
And we are so lucky to have you as our friend.
Love you, dear.
Love you.
Duluth, which in Marquette we call the Big Marquette.
Jeannie. Wonderful presentation.
Thank you.
Jeannie, I just want to tell you what a wonderful job you did.
Thank
It was very enjoyable, very well done.
Thank you, Rennie.
Thank you.
Thanks to Dan, who put me up to this.
Yeah, I had to talk her into it.
Oh,
Well, thank you for doing
did a
it,
great
Dan.
job too, Dan.
so now I can Zoom with you, Linda. Look, I'm going to be a
Well, hey, all
Zoomer.
you have to do is come down. We're only a couple blocks away.
I know. I'm kind of liking the Zoom thing, though.
Oh dear, we're in trouble now. Did you record this?
It actually, once I stop the live stream, it'll instantly be recorded and it'll be on the YouTube site
Oh, that's
for
great.
the Beaumere Center. So you
All
can
right.
find it on the Beaumere UP Heritage Center's YouTube page, and it'll be there for until, I don't know, till the sun decides it doesn't want to be alive anymore, I guess.
Mhm.
So does
If we
everybody
make it
know?
that way.
They'll know
Jeannie,
how
you
to
should
get
get
a
that
hold of
link and send it out to a lot of people.
Well, we'll put it on our Facebook page.
Okay.
When it's there, I'll put it probably tomorrow. We'll put it on the Facebook page so people can access it from that as well.
Okay. and
Someone
make
from
sure-
Florida wishes you could help them out, Jeannie.
Gail?
Deborah Mueller from Florida says, us
Oh.
Florida girls wish you would still help us out. So
Oh,
Tell
I
them to go to Vail and go to the Diva store.
there you go.
right. Yes. Go to Outdoor Divas in Lions Head and Vail and tell them hi.
There you go. Well, thank you, everybody. It's been an absolute riot. I'm going to stop the live stream now. Come check out the exhibit if you can. Otherwise, we will be posting this on our Facebook site tomorrow, so you can watch it again or send it to friends. So